quietly and follow along. At any point, click the pause button to catch up or take a break. All right, for this squish print, we are going to be working in portrait mode, which is the long way up and down. I do apologize, folks. I am working with 12 by 18 inch paper and it's a little big for the camera, but you'll be okay. Throughout the video, I will try to move it up and down depending on what section we are moving on. You can also adjust this lesson to use 9 by 12 inch paper. Since this is a squish print and the paint is going to spread a little, I always like to use a little bit bigger paper if possible. To begin drawing, make sure you have a pencil handy. I'll be using a marker, but you can use a pencil so you can erase. You'll be able to see the marker a little bit easier in the video. Let's prepare our paper. Fold it in half, so it's gonna make like a long, skinny piece of paper. Make sure you line up your corners as best as you can and lay that crease down the middle. Okay. Really work that crease because you are gonna be using that a lot as we begin to squish. Open the book back up. I am going to be working towards the top of the paper to create 2 scoops of ice cream in a cone. Here we go. Leave a little space from the top of your paper. We always like to leave a little space from the edge when we are squish printing, just in case the paint squishes out, okay? So we are going to come around, make a big arc, and then we are gonna come a little bit before where we ended and do some wavy, melty lines, okay? I'm even gonna create a drip down the center, okay? Now, I made this scoop really big, so I'm actually gonna change it to a single scoop. Sorry, but I really like strawberry ice cream, so this is what it's gonna be. I'm now going to move my paper up so you can see what remaining paper I have. Yeah, it's not much for a cone, but that's okay. I'm gonna make my cone nice and wide, come down to a point at the bottom. Again, leaving a little bit of space there so, you know, yeah, have time, room it to squish. I can also add in a few more detail lines to show that the ice cream is coming up and over the curve of the cone. Now, with a cone, we're gonna be extra careful about the detail lines because it's going to squish. So I'm going to add just a few. A line down the middle and 2 lines going across to keep it simple. All right, I also will come back and add a little bit of sprinkles towards the top later on. Let's get squishing. I am already loving this ice cream cone. It looks good enough to eat. Okay, so with a squish print, we simply are creating a duplicate or a copy symmetrically. So we are going to add paint, squish it, rub it, and open it, and whatever we did on this side is going to copy to the other side. Let's begin at the top by applying paint, okay? You want to get a good amount of paint on the paper, but not too much till it blobs. Okay? I love squish printing because the materials will tell you exactly what you're doing and how you can improve. I'll explain that further on as we squish. Did you notice I'm taking my paintbrush back and forth, artists? That is so I can get an even coat of paint on the top of my cup, my ice cream. Now, we are working in small sections because we don't want to paint the whole thing. Our paint might dry out by the time we get to squishing. Check your crease and do a knuckle rub. A knuckle rub is taking your knuckles in small circles and massaging the area of the paint on the paper. That will kind of push it to the other side of the paper and transfer, making a copy. Voila! We have an awesome ice cream cone on our hands. Let's get to going to finishing this scoop. I'm going to be working in another small section right over here. And I'm going back and forth a couple times. Here we go. And squish. Let's reveal. Something satisfying about the reveal of squish printing. I'm going to continue down the line of our melting ice cream cone. Did you notice my lines are really thick? That's because the paint is squishing out as we are going. So when we get to the cone, artists, try to do your lines as thin as possible, but it's also hard to do, and make sure you have enough paint to transfer. So go easy on yourselves. We're learning this process. Okay, so it looks a little dry here, and that is okay. I can always go back and add more if there's a section I don't like. Not a big deal. I'm also gonna do our little melted cone area. And making sure I go back over other sections. Here we go. There. All right, we're gonna continue to the cone. I'm gonna do the outside first and see where that takes me. Remember, whatever you do to one side of the print, it's going to reflect on the other. Here we go, I'm going swoosh. Perfect, oh, it's looking so good. I am going to now try to do my lines thin too. It's gonna be a little hard, but we're gonna do the best we can. Don't worry about if they're not perfect. Here we go. All right, I'm satisfied. Hope you all too are. And we're gonna go the other way. Create that awesome ice cream cone texture. Here we go. All right, now you can also, this is the time to add in other details, touch up the print if you want. For example, I would like personally another line right here. I just feel like this bottom is kind of bare, and even over here. So I'm gonna add my details and reprint. Ah, now we're talking. Now I talked about sprinkles earlier. I'm gonna go really small, like just little marks with my sprinkles. I'm gonna see how I can do it. And you know, a few that kind of sprinkled off the edge just for fun. Okay, let's add our sprinkles. Here we go. Voila! Ooh, it almost looks like mint chocolate chip. How fun. All right, artists, we are gonna let this ice cream not melt, but dry, and we'll come back to add coloring details and cut it out soon. Okay, so our squish print ice cream cone is nice and dry. Grab scissors and cut it out. You're going to cut on the outside of the black squish print lines. This will be a really good time if you have an extra blob or any extra shape in a place you don't want it, to cut it off. Okay. Now, depending on your base color, might affect your flavor of strawberry or ice cream. Whoops, I'm sticking with strawberry for this demo. So I grabbed a pink crayon. Now, no matter what ice cream flavor you're going with, you can add shadowing and more dimension of the flavor. So we have strawberry. I'm just going around the outsides and in the lines like this to make it look like it, was pouring over more. I want to show the curve of the scoop a little more so I can take my shadowing of my extra color and kind of go up like this. Okay. I'm going to do that on the other side. Remember, what you do on one side of the squish print, we should probably do on the other. I'm also going to go up and around the top just to give it, again, more dimension. Now, depending what flavor of ice cream you chose, you could use other colors. I'm also going to be doing this a little bit more with black to show the enhancement. Okay. And I'm going to do a little bit more across the center. Just a lightly shading it with pink to give it a little bit extra texture. Okay. All right, now as I mentioned, black is the way to go if you want to add a little bit more dimension. I'm just lightly taking my black and I'm going underneath all my drips just slightly. This gives the impression that the drip is kind of curving, it's liquidy. I'm dividing up my space, so here is the bottom of my scoop and the edges. That extra dimension just really adds to your squish print. Okay. Next, I'm going to color the cone. I'm obviously going to use an orange for this. I might even throw in some brown. And I'm just coloring in each of these diamond shapes. Okay. I'm not going over my black lines because I want to keep this really cool squish print feature and aesthetic. Now I can go with my brown crayon and add more dimension using the brown crayon more like a shadow rather than a base color. So here I'm adding brown crayon just to the bottom squares and to the left of each space, just to show that it indents like a regular cone. I'm doing that on each side to show that it's consistent. All right, now we can go over our sprinkles with different colors if you choose. I'm just gonna go over it with some green. And for this, I am gonna kind of randomize the color a little bit. Here's some yellow. Get some light blue. I do want to go back and kind of clean up the edges of some of my green. Even just tracing around that black shape is really going to enhance it. Okay. I'm going to get some purpley pinks. And bringing in the orange. Okay, so my last favorite part of doing any squish print is taking a white crayon and adding highlights. Highlights is where the light reflects off of objects in the world, and it's really cool on this black paper. I like to just bring out certain characteristics of my squish print. I like to divide up certain areas, like over here I made the scoop look a little bit more forward from the cone. We'll do that on both sides. Some of my sprinkles, I can add a little bit of white to, ooh, that one really popped up there. Okay, making them look more reflective. I'm gonna add this big arc in there. I feel like that's kind of an important feature of our scoop. Okay, you can do this with any squish print and make it look more 3D. Thanks so much for joining me today.